They say when a baby is born, so is a mother. But while you are there to help your baby grow into the person he or she is meant to be, who is there to help you? Many women feel lost and alone when they become mothers, wondering, who am I now? Sometimes it feels like the transformation from woman to mother is as radical as a caterpillar's transformation into a butterfly. Did you know that inside the chrysalis, the caterpillar literally turns into goop before it rearranges itself into a butterfly? This podcast is about the goop, what soul transformation looks like as you transition from being a woman to a mom. Your baby's growth matters, but yours does too. You're not alone. I'm your host, Brittany Ming. Welcome to the Motherhood Metamorphosis.
Welcome to the Motherhood Metamorphosis. My name is Brittany Ming, your host, and today we are talking with Kerri Bond. Kerri is a 30-something single mom to 3 kids, a daughter, and twin sons. She is currently in her 4th year of a PhD program studying higher education leadership. She lives in Texas with her kids, dog, and 3 kittens. So you have a whole zoo. I mean, not even counting the animals.
Yes.
So I wanted to have you on today because you have such a unique beginning to your motherhood story. And I just wanted you to tell your story, but also talk about expectations and what you thought motherhood would have looked like going in and maybe what the reality looks like today.
So back in, I guess, 2012, 2013-ish, I was in a serious relationship and it ended. And I realized that I definitely wanted to have children. And I realized that I was going to have to, if I was going to prescribe to the normal route, I was going to have to find somebody, date them for a period of time, get engaged, get married, and then have kids. And that didn't sound like fun to me.
You're like, no, not again.
No, I certainly didn't want to date somebody and have them not be the right person and have to start all over. Like, where does it end? So I just decided to have kids of my own. And I have 2 very close, dear friends of mine when I was growing up who both of their mothers were single moms and used donors to get pregnant.
Okay.
So I talked with them a lot about what that experience was for them as children. One of them knows her father, but doesn't have a relationship with him. And the other one does not know who her father is because he was anonymous. They both gave me the good and the bad and the ugly. I realized this is what I wanted to do. I ended up using a anonymous donor. And first I went through, I went to the reproductive medicine doctor and told them what I wanted to do. And they were like, yeah, okay. Well, when you want to start next month? And I was like, whoa.
Too fast.
They told me which sperm banks they work with. I picked 4 of them, and then I emailed the 4 profiles to my friends and had them rank them for me. The first place guy, I did 4 cycles with him and did not get pregnant. And then he sold out. And so I went with my second choice and got pregnant the first time with him, with my daughter Adeline. My mom was nearing retirement age, decided while I was getting pregnant that once I was pregnant, she would move from Texas to Virginia to live with me and help raise my kid. So that was wonderful. And I remember calling her when I tested positive the first time, and she was like, well, honey, how do you know you're pregnant? And I was like, Mom, I'm looking.
Literally, I took a test.
Yeah, it's a digital test, clearly says pregnant. And she was like, well, okay then. And started making plans to move up to live with us. So my daughter was born in October of 2014. And then my mom asked me in the hospital when she was about 6 hours old, when are you going to have another?
You're like, whoa.
And And I had a very traumatic birth, emergency C-section, all kinds of, 5-day failed induction. And I was like, I need a minute,
Yeah,
Mom.
just a minute. Just a minute.
Um, and I ended up being ready for my second at 3 months when my daughter was 3 months old,
Mm-hmm.
and waited a year. I once I knew I was ready to have a second one, I bought 6 vials of that same donor sperm
Mm-hmm.
and stored it at the doctor's office. Um, then when I was ready, my daughter turned 1, and 9 days later, I went in and got pregnant the first time
Wow.
with my boys,
And you're twins. Yes.
twins. Yeah. So that was crazy. So they were born in 2016. So yeah, that's the rundown, I guess. They're almost 7 and 5.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've loved seeing them. They're so cute
Thank
and
you.
full of life.
Yes, they are. Yes.
So you had a very obviously planned motherhood experience. And I think back to my motherhood experience, and I have 5 kids, and every one of them has been like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant. Um, I don't know. We just have like very high fertility or something. I like joke and tell people I've spent my whole marriage, 15 years trying not to get pregnant, and I have 5 kids. So you see how well that's worked for us. So I think it's just so interesting to compare our two stories and say like you had this very like this plan, like you went forward and you researched and you planned to be a mom. So with this plan, I'm sure you had expectations of what your motherhood experience would look like. So tell me a little bit about your expectations of motherhood, and then tell me, maybe compare it to what your reality has been.
There's been so many expectations and so many realities. um, I think, with my daughter, so when she was born, I had this very kind of strict idea of what I wanted parenthood and childhood to look like, no screen time. Um, I made all of her food, it was mostly organic. Um, I tried to breastfeed with all of my heart and was not able to for very long. I think I stopped pumping at 4 months.
Mm,
And my expectation was that I was going to breastfeed until she was like 3
yeah,
minimum. We were going to wean together.
minimum.
So that was kind of the first thing that didn't go the way I expected to. And that was really hard.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the first thing was her birth, which kind of was this lead into like, you no longer have much, if any, control over this situation.
Yeah.
We scheduled her birth for October 27th because I was like, that way it's close enough to Halloween to be kind of like fun, but it's not Halloween.
Right.
And she was born at 1 a.m. on Halloween.
You're like, great.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I literally have no control over the situation. Fine. Yeah. And I had friends who kind of thought I was being a hard ass because of, I was like, no sugar. I wanted her to have a really healthy idea of food. And so I wanted to have her, just these, beets. I've had her beets a lot. I wanted to have her to have this really robust, food experience. And some of my friends would like joke that they were going to feed her sugar, and I would get really mad because
Oh, you're
yeah,
ruining this.
right. No cake until her first birthday, and even her first birthday cake was like low sugar and
Beets? Was it a beet cake?
was not beet. My mother would have loved that though, because my mom liked to use like natural food dyes.
Mhm.
It would have been a really cute pink cake. But
It would, yes.
so then when my boys came along, I really hate that the concept of like second child syndrome. I hate it because I feel like it's an excuse, which sounds heartless. But I didn't want to make them feel less than my daughter or, anything like that. So, but I did loosen up a little bit, and
Yeah.
that's because I was really uptight with her. I still made all their food. I was able to breastfeed until about 6 months with them, until I completely dried up.
That's awesome. It's hard enough to breastfeed twins. I mean, it's a job.
Full time, right? And I was working full time, and yeah, I got in trouble for taking too many breaks at work because I was pumping with a pumping bra, hands-free pumping bra while working,
Oh
and
my
somebody
gosh.
to my boss for taking too many breaks.
No, leave me alone. I am literally giving children life here.
Literally, milk is coming out of my breast. Can
Yes.
you back off? So yeah, like that kind of thing. My mom moved in with us right before my daughter was born. And so my expectation was that she was going to be around for, a good long while and see all of us, me included, grow up and into this journey. And she passed away the day before my boys turned 11 months.
I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, that was, and it was unexpected in that I didn't realize she was going to go so fast.
Mm-hmm.
She had heart failure, but her doctor kept telling her she was doing so great. She was in really good condition, and then she just all of a sudden wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really, really, really hard to
Yes.
try to readjust what motherhood looked like without my mom. Like
Right.
nobody should have to do that.
Right. And she was the one who was at home with your kids, like while you were working. Like she was your life partner in this journey with you and your mother.
Yes. She watched the kids for me while I was at work. Luckily, I lived and worked on a college campus so that I could come home on my lunch break and feed the boys or, do other things, give her a break. But she was my daycare provider.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just gone. And I have incredible friends who rallied for me in that really, really awful time. Ended up paying for one of my students to nanny for me until the school year started. And then they were in school full time. But having to go from not having to pay for daycare for 3 kids to having to pay for daycare for 3 kids is awful.
That's intense. Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah. With no warning.
Yeah. So that was a really huge time of grief and transition for you.
Yes.
So when you think back to that time, which I'm sure is difficult, what emotions do you remember? Like, how do you remember feeling? And did you think this is how it's going to be? Or did you have hope? Like, tell me about your emotions during that time.
I don't remember a lot from that time.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Like looking back on it, I'm like I can watch videos that I took of my children and I have no memory of it. So that's really hard to see that, to like realize I just blocked stuff. I was in like complete survival mode.
Yeah.
I remember feeling like it's got to get better.
Yeah.
Has to. This cannot be the way that I function for the rest of my life, both for me and for them. I developed postpartum anxiety with my boys pretty early on in their infancy, but I didn't realize it until my mom passed away. And then I had just anxiety about life in general.
Yeah.
I remember texting one of our friends, Erica, and saying, is it possible to develop postpartum anxiety when babies are 18 months? Or is this just anxiety? Like, is this postpartum? Like, what is going on? Because this was, 8 months after, or 10 months 8 months after she had died, 6 months after she had died. See, it's all blurry.
Yep.
And Erica was like, yes, this could be postpartum. It could be just anxiety, and you need to see someone.
Yeah.
And so I did, thankfully, and I saw a local therapist, and she was wonderful in helping me grieve the loss of my mother, grieve what I thought, living with her was going to look like. In my head, I was going to be able to parent with my mom by my side. Even when my kids had gone to school, she would still be there. She would still be my partner.
Right.
So that was really helpful.
Yeah.
I think I always had hope that it wouldn't be that bad at all times.
Yeah. I think that's when people go through that intense grief, I think it's normal, even if it seems almost like when you look back at those videos and you don't remember. I think that's normal, even if it feels disturbing. It's almost like your body's way of protecting you. But at the same time, I know when I think back to intense times of grief in my life, like during my miscarriage or things like, or when I was pregnant with my daughter and I had really severe depression, I don't remember that first fall in England much at all. I just remember being really sad and just in my bed. But I'm like, what was the weather like? What did we do? And I just don't remember. I think because it is that survival mode. You're just like everything in your mind and life just like narrows into just survival, like you staying alive, your kids staying alive, like just trying to get through it.
Yep.
So you went to therapy and that was really helpful. You had friends around and that was helpful. So when do you feel like you started to feel like yourself again? And how did you know? How did you know that? And maybe that self looks really different now.
Yeah. So my mom passed away in July, and then in June. I remember going to Texas for her service in July. My job, I was director of residence life. My job was really hectic in July because I was dealing with housing assignments and stuff. We had a homicidal student I had to deal with in September. And then in October, I lost my job in
I
my
remember that too. That was insane.
yeah. With zero warning. They called a bunch of us and they fired like 40 people that day. My position was eliminated.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I had done anything wrong, but they just didn't value my contribution anymore, which was just really hard. So so then I had to get out of my house by Christmas. I ended up moving out December 1st.
That was like the worst year ever for you.
Yes.
Hands down.
And so when I think of 2020, that was pretty hard.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as hard as that.
Yeah.
And then in April, I found out I had been admitted to my first choice PhD program. Mm-hmm. And then in August of 2018, so a year later is mm-hmm. when I thought this is going to be okay. Yeah. And I remember when I lost my job, I remember thinking and being told and telling myself that this is a blessing. Mm-hmm. Losing my job was a blessing. Getting off of that campus was a blessing, but I just couldn't see it yet. I remember telling myself it will be a blessing in the future, but this is really hard right now.
Yeah.
And I was like substitute teaching. I was trying to stay in the area for my kids to have some continuity because they had been so disrupted. So I was staying in the area. There weren't many positions available. So I basically lived off my retirement account, which sucks.
You're like, here I am, 30 years old, living off my retirement.
Yeah. And then we moved to Texas for my PhD program. And I remember thinking like, this is why right here, where I am right now is why that was so hard. And this is the blessing part.
Yeah.
Where I'm supposed to be. I'm happy. My kids are happy. I'm doing what I love. This is why that happened. Not my mom. My mom is not, I'm not saying that's a blessing, but losing my job in particular.
Yeah.
Was the blessing I needed to
get into that new avenue, to go for your PhD. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were able to see that way, you were able to like emerge into hope.
Yes.
But it took time.
It took a lot longer than I would have liked.
Yeah. Isn't that the case? I think that we are often so much more ready to move on from those really hard times. And sometimes like the depression or the anxiety or the grief just like grips you so hard. And you're like, I want to be done with this. And it just won't let you go.
Yes.
Till somehow it's run its course. And I think that a lot of times you want to be done with it before it's actually run its course.
Yes. Like I've learned the lesson. I got it. I understand.
Yeah.
But it still you still have to get through something
Yeah.
to be able to get there.
It's hard. So what would you tell another woman who's walking maybe not exactly the same path as you are, but somebody who is like in a really, really tough position and maybe who's in that grip of grief or depression or anxiety or just unexpected life?
Yeah. What I've learned through this process the last 4 years, 7 years, my daughter is almost 7, but um I, and it's also really easy to say this when I'm on the outside of it,
Yeah.
but is that everything will be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I said that to myself about finances, when I was stressing about literally how I'm going to pay for food on the table for my babies. And without saying anything to anybody, I would get a gift card for Grubhub,
Yeah.
or my friends would send a pizza or, whatever the case. Finances are the things that money stresses me out the most right now. I'm a PhD student. I make no money. I'm living on student loans. That's terrifying. I looked at my balance today and I almost threw up. Um, but it always works out.
Yeah.
There's always somebody there to help. In my case, my friends are just these amazing people who care deeply. The thing people say of like, let me know how I can help.
Yes.
Which is not always usually very helpful. But they want to be helpful.
Yeah.
I think if when you're going through that awful time, that darkness, that like you're feeling like you're going through a dark cave, there's people who want to help, and it's okay to say, hey, I need you.
Yes.
Even though that feels so awful sometimes.
Yes, it does feel awful. It's like that vulnerability is like the most icky feeling because you feel like you're at the end of yourself and you're like, now I have to like actually let somebody into this huge mess of my life and say like, can you help me please?
Yes.
Like, what if they say no?
But they don't.
They don't. Yeah.
Never.
There are people that help. Like they do. Somebody will step in and help.
It always works out. And it's really hard to see that in that dark place.
Mm-hmm.
But you will make it through. Things will work out. You will not starve your babies. You can reach out to people who care for you deeply, love you, and it'll be okay.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's really simple and I think that's encouraging. So thanks for sharing that. All right. So to end up our time here, I have these 10 rapid fire questions that are just for fun. So are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So which Disney princess would you want to take out for coffee?
Ariel.
Oh, that's fun. I like that. She'd be a lot of fun.
I think so. She had her feet on.
Yeah, she had her feet on.
Yeah.
All right. What's one thing you must have on your nightstand?
My phone.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
It's got to be nearby and charging. Yeah.
Charging, yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes playing something, but yeah.
All right. Go to treat after the kids go to bed.
Oh, don't tell them this. But usually ice cream.
Oh, me too. That's like my favorite. It's like after bed dessert is so much better than dessert any other time of the day. It's like it's just 10 times better.
Yes. My parents used to sneak Oreos.
Yeah.
And I would catch them and get really mad.
But now you understand.
I totally get it. Although there was just one of me and two of them. So it's kind of been, I know it was probably hard, but anyway.
You're like, I deserve ice cream and Oreos because I have 3 kids and there's only one of me. All right. Next question. Heels or flats?
Flats. I'm 6'1". I don't need heels.
You're like, I'm good. I've got the height already. I am an Amazon queen.
And I'm the most awkward person in heels. Nobody needs to.
I am too. Every time I wear them, which is not often, I have to practice, and my husband will literally make fun of me. I'm like, will you quit? You're not even the one going through this. Never mind. I'll just wear my flats.
Yeah, right. I'm 37. We're just going to do flats.
That's right. All right. Last show you binged and loved.
I'm currently watching the morning show on Apple TV.
Okay.
I love it. But the last one to like binge over and over and over is Schitt's Creek.
Oh, that's great. I love it. I actually love the gifts, maybe even more than the show. Is
Those
that?
are good. Yes.
Yeah, they're so great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If you run out of this, you have to go to the store.
Milk.
Me. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Or coffee creamer. That's another one.
Yeah. But I can just go to Starbucks. I will much rather go to Starbucks than run out of milk because my kids drink milk for bedtime, which is probably not good for youth, but
no judgment.
yeah.
You got to have milk. I actually went to the store today because my daughter was like, there is no milk. There is no chocolate there's no milk for my chocolate milk. So she needed it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Who makes you laugh?
My friends. I have several group texts going. And sometimes all it is gifts, and it's just wonderful.
All right. Texting or talking?
I like both. I'm the kind of person that will randomly call my friends, and my friends are the kind of people who don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I'll catch them.
Yeah.
And we can chat or FaceTime, and they're like, why didn't you just text me?
Yeah.
But I like that connection.
Yeah.
But I'm also a serial texter, so.
Yeah. It's good. It's good to have both. All right. What are you looking forward to?
A couple things, which is not the point of rapid fire, but Thanksgiving, we're going camping.
Oh, nice.
I'm excited about that. And I'm excited to defend my proposal for my dissertation, which I have no idea when that will be, but it's coming up at some point in the future.
I'm cheering for you. You can do it.
Thanks.
All right. Last one. Finish this sentence. Motherhood is.
First thing is so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard. But I'll say this, it's the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah. That's great. I love that. All right, Kerri, thank you so much. I really enjoyed our talk. I'm really glad we got to connect, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Brittany. It was so good to talk to you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Motherhood Metamorphosis. If you've enjoyed this episode, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to this channel so you never miss an episode. Next, tell your friends. Podcasts are a slow growth type of social media, so promo works best when it's from person to person. If you know another mom who's in the goop right now, send her a text of encouragement and the link to the episode that is speaking to your heart right now. If you have a story about your own matrescence, the physical, emotional, hormonal, and social transition that occurs when someone becomes a mother, please leave a comment below. I want this channel to be a place where women can build community about the challenges and joys of their own motherhood metamorphosis. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope it encouraged you and gave you some good food for thought. If you ever have any questions, comments, or you'd like to reach out to me personally, you can email me at brittanyaming@gmail.com.
Gifts are the best. I love gifts. They're like my favorite thing ever.
Love language for sure.
It is. Yeah, if you find the perfect gift, you're like feeling good about yourself. It just gives you a little lift. You're like, yeah. I think I saw pictures of your kittens that you got last year over the quarantine, right?
Yes, they're quarantine foster fails.
Oh, well, quarantine adoption, successes, right? However,
to keep all three, but how do you say no to those faces?
That's right. Your kids, right? Not just the cats.
Yeah. And then I realized we actually got rid of one, and then I got a third foster, and in that couple of days, or a fourth foster, I guess, in those couple of days of having only two, I realized this was not going to work for us. We needed to have three.
Yes. Well, I hope that they all get along, kids, animals, everybody.
Everybody. It's one happy circus.